Emma Whitlow pressed the little pink hair clip into her brown curls the same way she did every morning, not knowing today it would change her entire life. It looked ordinary, sweet, almost childish, and that was exactly why her stepmother never suspected a thing. The clip had been a quiet gift from her father, Noah Whitlow, the CEO everyone in the city admired but few truly knew. He told Emma it was just something to keep you safe when I'm away. She didn't understand what he meant, not really, but she trusted him. She always did. This morning, the house felt colder than usual, not because of the temperature, because of Sabrina Hale, the woman who had married her father 6 months earlier. Sabrina's heels clicked sharply as she walked down the hallway, each step reminding Emma she needed to stay quiet, stay polite, stay invisible. Children who caused trouble never earned love. That was something Emma had learned far too young. Sabrina appeared in the doorway, perfectly dressed, perfectly smiling, until her eyes landed on Emma. The smile fell. "Fix your posture," she snapped under her breath. "You look sloppy, and don't you dare embarrass me today." Emma nodded quickly. No arguing, no asking why. She lifted her chin, though her hands shook just a little. Sabrina didn't notice. She never did. But the hair clip did. Inside its tiny frame, a small recorder blinked awake, picking up the edge in Sabrina's voice, the strain in Emma's silence, the kind of moment adults overlook, but children feel deep in their bones. And miles away, in a hotel lobby, Noah's phone buzzed with the first alert from the device, something he had never received before. He frowned, pressed play, and his entire world shifted in one breath. Emma Whitlow had the kind of softness that made people instinctively want to protect her, but life had not given her much protection at all. She had lost her mother at 6, too young to fully understand death, yet old enough to remember every detail of her mother's warmth. For years, she carried those memories like treasures. Her mother's laughter, the song she hummed while brushing Emma's hair, the whispered promise that Emma would always be loved. But promises sometimes fade when the world changes too quickly. After his wife passed, Noah Whitlow did everything he could to keep Emma's world steady. He cooked clumsy breakfasts, braided her hair the wrong way, attended every school event even when work begged for his attention. But the demands of being a CEO piled higher and higher. Noah didn't see his absence as abandoning Emma. He saw it as securing her future. What he didn't realize was that Emma needed presence, not perfection. As for Emma, she never complained. She didn't ask why her father came home later or why she spent more time with nannies than with him. She believed good daughters didn't make things harder, so she smiled. She adjusted. She shrank herself to fit whatever space adults gave her. Then Sabrina Hale entered their lives. Emma tried, truly tried, to welcome her. Sabrina seemed kind at first, bringing fancy gifts, braiding Emma's hair as if she cared. But soon the sweetness thinned, replaced by comments that cut deeper than shouting ever could. "You're too sensitive. Stop acting helpless. Your father worries too much about you." Each remark chipped away at Emma's confidence until she barely recognized herself. Still, Emma stayed silent. She believed that if she didn't cause problems, maybe Sabrina would learn to love her. Maybe her dad would be happy. Maybe their family would work. But deep down, Emma feared something she would never dare say aloud. Sabrina didn't dislike her. Sabrina wanted her gone. And as the hair clip continued recording, capturing truths Emma never meant anyone to hear, a storm quietly built around the Whitlow family, one strong enough to break everything they thought was safe. And that storm was about to hit much sooner than anyone expected. The Whitlow mansion stood on a quiet hill overlooking Harborview City, a place so polished that people often whispered it looked more like a museum than a home. Marble floors, glass staircases, art worth more than most houses. Everything about it felt grand, untouchable. But for Emma Whitlow, it felt cold, too big, too empty, the kind of place where sound echoed because there wasn't enough laughter to fill it. Her room was the smallest space in the mansion, tucked into a quieter wing. It wasn't gloomy, but it carried a loneliness she couldn't explain. The sunlight reached her window differently, softer somehow, as if it knew she needed gentler things. The walls still held the butterfly stickers she and her father put up years ago, a reminder of a time when life felt simple. But even those stickers seemed faded now. Downstairs, however, was a different world, a world Sabrina Hale shaped to fit her own reflection. Sleek furniture replaced cozy couches, neutral tones replaced warm colors, and in the center of everything stood a massive chandelier she called a symbol of refinement. Though Emma always thought of it as cold light, pretending to be beautiful, Sabrina thrived in this world. She navigated it like a queen preparing for her court, controlling every detail for the image she wanted others to see. Today's event was especially important, a high-profile charity gala at the upscale Windsor Crest Hotel, a place filled with elegance, cameras, and powerful people. Sabrina planned to present herself as the perfect wife to a CEO and the perfect stepmother to a sweet little girl. But only one part of that was true, and it wasn't the motherhood. Emma dreaded those places. Too many eyes, too many questions, too much pressure to smile even when her chest felt tight. But she followed Sabrina quietly because that was expected. Children didn't get to choose, not in Sabrina's world. As they prepared to leave, Sabrina examined Emma as if she were inspecting a product. She adjusted the girl's dress, tightened her ponytail, and whispered, "You represent this family. Don't forget that." The hairclip caught every syllable, and soon, someone unexpected would hear them all. Sabrina Hale had mastered the art of pretending. In public, she was elegance wrapped in kindness, a woman who charmed donors, smiled at photographers, and touched Emma's shoulder just enough for people to say, "She's such a loving stepmother." But behind closed doors, her mask cracked, and today the cracks spread wider than ever. On the drive to the Windsor Crest Gala, Sabrina never looked at Emma through the rearview mirror, only at her own reflection, adjusting her lipstick. "Remember," she said coolly, "this event is important for your father. Do not draw attention to yourself. You understand me?" Emma nodded. She always nodded. But when they arrived, the tension sharpened. The hotel lobby glittered with crystal lights, gold accents, and people in gowns and tuxedos. Emma felt small, swallowed by the luxury surrounding her. Sabrina leaned close, her smile fixed in place, whispering through clenched teeth, "Stand up straight. You look nervous. Don't ruin this for me." That whisper carried more threat than guidance. As they entered the ballroom, Sabrina immediately shifted into performance mode. She greeted socialites, laughed lightly, placed a gentle hand on Emma's back as if guiding her with affection. Cameras flashed, compliments floated, but every time someone praised Emma, Sabrina's smile twitched, just barely, but enough for Emma to sense it. Sabrina didn't want her appreciated. She wanted her controlled. Then came the moment that ignited everything. A wealthy donor knelt down to compliment Emma on her dress. Emma smiled shyly, whispering, "Thank you." The donor chuckled warmly. "She's adorable. You must be very proud of her." Sabrina's grip tightened on Emma's shoulder. Too tight. "Oh, she tries," Sabrina said with a sugary tone, "but she's sensitive. Hard to manage sometimes." Emma's stomach dropped. Her eyes stung, but she didn't cry. She never cried in public. Instead, she lowered her gaze. The donor's smile faded as he noticed the tension. And from inside Emma's tiny hair clip, the recorder blinked again, catching not just Sabrina's words, but the bitterness hiding behind them. And this time, the recording captured something far more dangerous. Sabrina's real intentions slipping through. The evening grew heavier for Emma as the gala continued. Conversations swirled around her, laughter, clinking glasses, music, but none of it touched her. She stood quietly by Sabrina's side, hands clasped, trying her best to be invisible. But invisibility, as she was about to learn, didn't always protect her. It happened near the dessert table, where the crowd was thick and the lighting softer. Emma reached for a small plate of fruit, careful not to drop anything, careful not to make noise. She had learned to move gently, like she was walking on thin ice. But someone brushed past her shoulder, bumping her arm just enough to make a single grape roll off her plate and onto the pristine floor. It was such a tiny mistake, barely noticeable, except Sabrina noticed everything. Her eyes flashed, and before Emma could whisper an apology, Sabrina leaned in, her voice sharp and cutting despite her smile. "Look at what you just did," she hissed. Do you know how humiliating this is? You can't behave properly for even one night?" Emma froze, cheeks burning hot. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to say it wasn't her fault, but her throat tightened until the words died there. Several guests turned subtly, pretending not to listen but unable to ignore the tension. One woman frowned, watching Sabrina with growing discomfort. Sabrina continued, her tone dripping with false sweetness. "Pick it up, dear, quickly." It wasn't a request. It was punishment. Emma bent down, hands trembling. And then the unthinkable happened. Sabrina, in her irritation, lifted her heel and stepped directly on Emma's hand. Not hard enough to break it, but enough to make Emma gasp softly in pain, her eyes widening in shock. Sabrina didn't move her foot. She pretended she never noticed. The hair clip captured everything. The pressure of Sabrina's voice, the cruelty in her tone, the stifled sound of Emma's pain. Someone nearby inhaled sharply, realizing what they had just witnessed. And miles away, Noah listened to that very moment, his jaw clenching as he heard his daughter's whispered gasp. Noah Whitlow sat in the back seat of his car as it sped down the interstate toward Harborview City. His phone was connected to the encrypted monitoring app he rarely used, the one linked to Emma's hair clip. Until tonight, he had never received more than quiet background noise. Emma humming, pages turning, the soft sound of her footsteps. But now, his phone pulsed red with audio alerts. And when he pressed play, his world tilted. He heard Sabrina's voice first, low, tight, coated in irritation disguised as sweetness. Then he heard Emma whispering apologies that sounded too practiced for a 9-year-old. Noah leaned forward, eyes darkening. Something inside him tightened, a knot he hadn't felt since losing Emma's mother. But then came the sound that made his breath stop entirely. Emma's soft, shocked gasp. Small, quick, the sound of a child in pain trying not to cry. Noah replayed it. Once, twice, a third time, slower. There was no mistaking it. He could almost see Emma flinching. "What happened?" he whispered to no one, gripping his phone so hard his knuckles whitened. Another alert buzzed. He pressed play again, this time hearing Sabrina's sharply whispered words, dripping with contempt. "You embarrass me every time. Why can't you act normal? You make everything difficult." Noah's chest burned. Emma never told him any of this. She always smiled, always pretended everything was okay. And he, blinded by work, by trust, had believed it. His driver glanced into the rearview mirror. "Sir, are you all right?" "No," Noah said quietly. "Take me to the Windsor Crest Hotel. Now, faster." The car accelerated, and just then another recording came through. Emma's trembling voice saying, "I'm sorry, I'll do better. Please don't be mad." Noah closed his eyes. His daughter wasn't apologizing for a mistake. She was apologizing for existing. And in that moment, Noah Whitlow made a silent promise. Anyone who hurt his child would face consequences they never saw coming. Back inside the ballroom, the atmosphere sparkled with champagne and polished smiles. But Emma felt like she was shrinking with every passing minute. After the grape incident, she stayed close to the wall, afraid that even breathing too loudly might upset Sabrina again. Her small hand still throbbed where Sabrina's heel had pressed down, though Emma tried to hide it by curling her fingers into a fist. Sabrina floated through the crowd, her laughter light and graceful, as if nothing had happened. But every few minutes, she shot sharp glances at Emma, silent warnings that only the child understood. Emma straightened each time, hoping to avoid another whisper of disappointment. But someone else had noticed. The woman who had frowned earlier approached Emma now. Her name was Marion Brooks, a respected philanthropist known for reading people better than most. She crouched slightly to meet Emma's eye level. "Sweetheart, are you all right? You look a little pale." Emma shook her head quickly. Not in disagreement, but out of fear. She wasn't supposed to talk, not unless spoken to by Sabrina, not unless she was sure she wouldn't say the wrong thing. Before Marion could ask more, Sabrina swooped in like a shadow wearing diamonds. "There you are," she said too brightly. "Emma gets overwhelmed easily. Sensitive child, you know." Then placing a gentle but controlling hand on Emma's shoulder, she added, "She's fine." Marion didn't look convinced. Her eyes flicked to Emma's trembling hands, then to Sabrina's overly tight smile. A small moment, subtle but dangerous. Sabrina felt the scrutiny and stiffened. She leaned down to Emma, whispering so quietly only the child and the hairclip could hear. "You're making me look bad. Fix your face. Smile." Emma forced a fragile smile. Then, as fate would have it, Marion accidentally stepped aside just enough to reveal a faint red mark across the back of Emma's hand. Her eyes widened. "Emma, who did that?" she asked softly. Emma froze. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Across the ballroom, Noah Whitlow stormed through the entrance, eyes searching, heart pounding. And for the first time that night, Sabrina realized she was no longer in control. Noah Whitlow pushed through the grand entrance of the Windsor Crest Hotel with a purpose that silenced even the security staff. He didn't wait for permission, didn't offer greetings. He moved with the unmistakable energy of a father whose instincts were screaming. His eyes swept the ballroom, ignoring the glitter, the music, the cameras. He was searching for one thing, one person, his daughter, Emma. Across the room, Emma stood stiffly beside Sabrina, still forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The faint red mark on her hand had caught Marion Brooks's full attention. Marion lowered her voice, concern deepening. "Emma, honey, does it hurt?" Emma swallowed and opened her mouth, but Sabrina squeezed her shoulder sharply, cutting her off without a word. Marion's eyes narrowed. Before Sabrina could redirect the conversation, the crowd subtly shifted. People began murmuring as they recognized the man who had just entered. Noah's presence wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Even those who didn't know him personally felt the temperature of the room change. Sabrina turned and froze. "Noah!" She stepped forward with a carefully crafted smile. "You're back early. I wasn't expecting—" But Noah didn't look at her. He only looked at Emma. His daughter, standing too still, eyes too shiny, shoulders too tight. "Emma," he said gently, but his voice carried like thunder to Sabrina's ears. Emma's chin trembled with relief she didn't understand. She took one small step toward him, then stopped, unsure if she was allowed. That hesitation alone shattered something inside Noah. He walked straight to her, kneeling so he was eye level with his little girl. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Emma nodded, but tears filled her eyes anyway. Sabrina rushed forward, talking fast. "Noah, she's just overwhelmed. Long night. You know how sensitive she is?" Marion stepped between them, surprising everyone. "Actually," she said firmly, "your daughter seems scared, and that mark on her hand didn't appear on its own." Sabrina's smile faltered. A few guests glanced over, then a few more. Whispers began. And for the first time, Sabrina realized the room wasn't her stage anymore, because Noah had arrived, and the truth was no longer something she could control. The ballroom's golden glow suddenly felt colder as guests quietly drifted closer, pretending to admire the decor while their ears tuned sharply to the tension unfolding between the Whitlows. Sabrina sensed the shift immediately. Public perception was her lifeline, and right now, it was slipping through her fingers. She tightened her smile. "Noah, sweetheart, you're misunderstanding. Emma simply had a little accident. Children drop things, you know how they are." But Noah wasn't listening to her. He gently took Emma's hand and examined the faint red mark. His jaw clenched. His expression didn't change, but the temperature around him did. "Emma," he said softly, "did someone hurt you?" Emma didn't answer. She didn't shake her head. She didn't nod. She just stood frozen, torn between fear and relief. The silence itself became an answer. Sabrina stepped in quickly, voice bright and brittle. She bumped into a table. "Really, Noah, this is getting blown out of—" Marion Brooks cut her off again. "I saw her earlier. That mark was fresh, and the child looked terrified." A few nearby guests murmured in agreement. They had noticed the tension too. One man whispered, "I thought she snapped at the girl earlier." Another added, "That woman stepped on her hand, didn't she?" The whispers grew like ripples. Sabrina's mask cracked. "Are you people serious? You're taking the word of a child over me? I've spent months taking care of her." But the defensiveness in her tone only made things worse. Noah straightened, keeping Emma close. "I heard enough," he said quietly. Too quietly. "I heard things you didn't know anyone could hear." Sabrina froze, her breath caught. What do you mean?" Noah reached into his pocket. He lifted the pink hairclip, tiny, harmless looking and blinking. "For weeks," he said, eyes locked on Sabrina, "this recorded everything. The color drained from her face. A crack of fear broke through her composure for the first time. Around them, guests stared with wide eyes, unable to look away. And in that suspended silence, one truth became clear. Sabrina Hale was no longer fighting for control. She was fighting to survive the truth that was about to be exposed. Sabrina Hale had survived on charm for years, molding herself into whatever version people wanted to see. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared her for the moment Noah Whitlow held up the hairclip. That tiny pink object might as well have been a detonator. Her face stiffened as guests leaned in, breath held, waiting for the explosion. "Noah?" she said carefully, her voice trembling beneath forced calm. "You're not actually using that thing against me. It's invasive. It's the only reason," Noah cut in. "I finally know what's been happening to my daughter." A wave of murmurs rolled across the ballroom. Emma gripped Noah's sleeve, her small fingers trembling. She didn't understand everything, but she understood enough. Her father finally knew. Sabrina's mask cracked further. "You're twisting things. She's a sensitive child. She overreacts. Sensitive children don't flinch when someone raises a hand near them," Marion Brooks said sharply. "I've worked with victims. I know the signs." All eyes swung back to Sabrina. Cornered, she made her fatal move. "You all think I'm the villain? You have no idea how hard it is living with a child who—" "Stop." Noah's voice sliced through the room like glass. But Sabrina didn't stop. She had lost control, and panic poured out of her unchecked. "She ruins everything. She makes Noah pity her. She wants all his attention, like I'm supposed to compete with a child who—" Gasps erupted. Sabrina realized too late what she had said. Her lips snapped shut, horror spreading across her features. Even she couldn't spin that sentence into something innocent. Emma's eyes filled with tears, not just from hurt, but from the unmistakable clarity. Sabrina had never cared, not even a little. Noah slowly lowered himself to Emma's level. "You will never speak about my daughter like that again." Sabrina tried to recover. "Noah, please, listen to me." He stood, expression colder than she had ever seen. The recording picked up much worse than what you just admitted publicly. Every camera in the room now pointed at them. And in that moment, Sabrina realized her carefully crafted image, her power, her future, had been shattered beyond repair. And the real fallout hadn't even begun. Security escorted the crowd back a few steps to control the growing attention, but they couldn't pull anyone's eyes away from the unfolding scene. Sabrina Hale, who once owned every room she entered, now stood trembling in the center of it, cornered by her own words, exposed by a 9-year-old's hairclip. The humiliation hit her like a physical blow. "Noah," she pleaded, lowering her voice, "we shouldn't do this here. Let's talk privately, please." But Noah didn't move. He kept one arm wrapped protectively around Emma, who clung to him as if afraid he might disappear again. "The only thing that should have stayed private," Noah said evenly, "is the safety of my daughter, and you chose to violate that." Sabrina's breath hitched. She reached toward him, but he stepped back. A silent rejection far harsher than shouting could ever be. "Noah, you don't understand," she insisted. "She manipulated you. She acts helpless, so you pity her. Don't let her ruin what we built." "What we built?" Noah's eyes hardened. "You built nothing but fear." He pulled his phone from his pocket, tapping the screen. The hairclip's audio played aloud. Sabrina's voice filled the ballroom. Cold commands, mocking tones, veiled insults, the sharp hiss of, "You embarrass me," and then the unmistakable moment she stepped on Emma's hand. The ballroom fell silent. Sabrina staggered, her face draining of color. That's taken out of context. You're all misinterpreting." Marion Brooks cut in. "There is no context where this is acceptable behavior toward a child." Sabrina's panic morphed into desperation. "Noah, listen to me. You can't throw away our marriage over this. Think of your reputation. Think of the company. You should have thought of my daughter," he replied. Security stepped closer, offering Emma a gentle nod as if silently reassuring her she was safe now. Sabrina saw the shift, saw Noah choosing Emma over her, and something inside her broke. Her voice dropped to a shaky whisper. "If you do this, everything I've worked for will crumble." "It already has," Noah said. The realization hit her like a final blow. And for the first time, Sabrina Hale understood. This wasn't the end of an argument. It was the end of her reign. Noah didn't wait for the crowd to recover from the shock. He gently lifted Emma into his arms, holding her the way a father holds something fragile and irreplaceable. Emma tucked her face against his shoulder, and for the first time that night, she felt safe enough to breathe. Sabrina, however, lurched forward. "You're leaving? With her? Noah, don't you dare walk out like this. People are watching." "They should," Noah replied without turning. "They deserve to know who you really are." Those words struck deeper than any public embarrassment. Sabrina's eyes widened in panic. She had spent years curating her image: graceful wife, philanthropic figure, refined socialite. Everything she had built depended on perception, and right now, perception was crumbling beyond repair. "Noah, please," she begged, her voice cracking. "You're making a mistake. You're emotional. We can fix this." "There's nothing to fix," he said. He walked toward the exit, Emma securely in his arms. Security subtly flanked them, clearing a path. Cameras flashed. Whispers exploded across the ballroom. Sabrina followed, her heels clicking desperately against the marble floor. At the doors, Noah paused. Not for Sabrina's sake, but because Emma shifted nervously in his arms. He looked down. "You okay?" Emma nodded softly, then whispered, "Can we go home now?" It broke him a little. "Yes, sweetheart, we're going home." Sabrina reached them at last, breathless, mascara beginning to smudge. "Noah, stop. If you walk out with her, everything we planned, everything we built, it's all gone." He turned to face her fully, expression calm but unmovable. "If protecting my daughter destroys anything, then it wasn't worth keeping." Her face twisted, not with remorse, but with fear of losing the world she clung to. "You don't understand," she whispered. "You need me. The company needs me. Your reputation." "My daughter needed you," he answered, "and you failed her." Sabrina's lips parted, but no words came. The truth was too heavy, too undeniable. Noah stepped through the doors, the night air hitting them like freedom, and behind them, Sabrina Hale watched everything she once controlled walk away in a single unforgiving moment. The Whitlow mansion had never felt so different. When Noah carried Emma through the front door, the house, once cold, echoing, pristine, felt strangely fragile, as if even the walls were holding their breath. The chandeliers no longer looked grand. They looked excessive. Every polished surface reminded Noah of all the moments he'd missed, all the signs he had failed to see. He set Emma down gently on the living room sofa. She tucked her knees to her chest, still wearing the dress Sabrina had chosen for her. A dress that suddenly felt like part of the lie she'd been forced to live. "Do you want some water?" Noah asked softly. Emma nodded. As he walked to the kitchen, his steps slowed. Every memory of the past months flooded him. The times Emma said she was fine, the forced smiles, the way she had stopped talking about school, her sudden quietness at dinner. He had chalked it up to grief, to growing up, to sensitive temperament. But now he knew better. She hadn't been quiet. She'd been silenced. When he returned, Emma held the hairclip in her lap, staring at it with wide, uncertain eyes. "Daddy," she whispered, "did I do something wrong? Is that why she got mad at me?" The question hit him like a punch. "No," he said immediately, kneeling to meet her gaze. "You did nothing wrong. Nothing." "But she said—" "She lied," Noah cut in gently but firmly. "Adults aren't always right, and she was very, very wrong." Emma's lower lip trembled. "Will she come back?" Noah hesitated, not because he doubted the answer, but because this moment mattered. His daughter needed certainty, not vague promises. "No," he said. "She won't be living here again." Emma exhaled shakily, as if letting go of months of fear all at once. She leaned forward until her forehead rested against his chest, small fingers gripping his shirt. Noah wrapped his arms around her, holding her closer than he had in years. "You're safe now," he murmured. "I'm here. I should have seen it sooner, but I'm here now." Upstairs, the empty hallway echoed softly, as if the house itself knew something had changed. But unknown to them both, Sabrina was not done yet, because desperation can turn people dangerous. While the Whitlow mansion settled into an uneasy quiet across the city, Sabrina Hale sat alone in the back seat of a hired car, shaking with a mixture of rage and terror. The night's events replayed in her mind like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Noah's cold stare, the guests' judgmental whispers, the cameras flashing as she lost control in front of everyone. Her perfect image was collapsing, and with it, everything she had clawed her way toward. "No," she muttered, gripping her phone so tightly her knuckles whitened. "I'm not losing everything because of that child." Her driver glanced nervously in the mirror but stayed silent. Sabrina opened her email, her hands trembling. She wasn't just a disgraced wife. She was a woman with secrets. Secrets Noah didn't yet know about. Financial irregularities she had covered. Deals she had manipulated. If Noah divorced her publicly, investigators would tear her life apart. She needed leverage, and she only knew one place that still held leverage: the Whitlow home. "Turn around," she snapped. "Take me back to the mansion." The driver hesitated. "Ma'am, Mr. Whitlow instructed—" "Now." Her voice cracked with a fury that left no room for refusal. Back at the mansion, Noah tucked Emma into her bed. She held his hand until her eyelids fluttered closed. Only then did he step out, his expression shifting from tenderness to steel. He knew Sabrina wouldn't let go quietly. He knew this wasn't over. Downstairs, Noah met Henry, the head of security. "Strengthen the perimeter," he ordered. "Tonight, no one enters without my approval." Henry nodded. "Understood, sir." What Noah didn't know was that Sabrina was already closer than he realized. Her car rolled silently through the dark neighborhood, headlights dimmed, her mind racing with desperation-fueled plans. "She thinks she's taken everything from me," Sabrina whispered, her voice trembling. "But I'm not done. Not yet." She stepped out of the car, heels clicking softly on the pavement as she approached a side entrance she once used freely. The gate's sensor light flicked on, and inside the mansion, Noah felt a chill crawl up his spine. Because the night wasn't over, and Sabrina Hale was about to make her most reckless move yet. A soft rain began to fall over Harborview City, misting the Whitlow estate in a thin veil of silver. Inside, the mansion glowed warmly, a stark contrast to the cold fury building outside its gates. Sabrina Hale stood beneath the dim sensor light, soaked slightly by the drizzle, mascara streaking faintly down her cheeks. Desperation had replaced dignity. Panic had replaced pride. She punched in the old security code on the side entrance keypad, only to see a red light blink. Denied. Sabrina cursed under her breath. Noah had already begun shutting her out, but she had lived in this house long enough to know the flaws in its design. There was one entrance Noah always forgot about, the maintenance door near the garden, the one Henry kept meaning to fix. She moved through the shadows, clutching her coat tighter around her. Her mind raced. Not with guilt, but with frantic strategy. If she could get inside, take something valuable, create leverage, or find documents that could protect her, maybe she could survive the fallout. Inside the mansion, Noah sat in his office reviewing the Hairclip recordings again, forcing himself to face every moment he missed. Each sound made him wince. Emma's timid apologies, Sabrina's icy commands, his hand curled into a fist. He would never let that happen again, never. But then, a faint sound. Metal scraping lightly. Noah straightened. That sound did not belong in his house. Henry's voice came through the intercom at that exact moment. "Sir, perimeter sensors just tripped on the west side. We're checking." Noah didn't wait. He was already moving. Upstairs, Emma slept peacefully, unaware of the danger creeping toward the house. Outside, Sabrina slipped through the maintenance door just as the latch gave way. She exhaled triumphantly, stepping into the dark hallway she once walked freely. "She can't take everything from me," she whispered. "I won't let her." But before she could take a single step forward, a bright security beam shot across the hall, hitting her square in the face. Lights blazed on. Heavy footsteps rushed toward her, and Sabrina froze, realizing too late. She was no longer sneaking into her home. She was walking straight into a trap she didn't know existed. The moment the floodlights snapped on, Sabrina froze like a trespasser caught mid-crime, because that's exactly what she was now. Her breath hitched, eyes darting wildly as the harsh white light exposed every crack in her composure. Footsteps thundered down the hallway, growing louder, closer, heavier. She backed up until her spine hit the wall. No, this isn't how it was supposed to go," she whispered to herself, panic turning her voice thin and breathless. Henry, the head of security, rounded the corner first. He stopped dead when he saw her. "Ma'am," he said sharply, "you're trespassing." "I live here," she snapped instinctively. But even she knew how hollow that sounded. Noah had revoked her access hours ago. Before Henry could respond, another figure appeared behind him. Noah. He stepped into the light slowly, deliberately, the controlled calm in his expression far more intimidating than anger. His eyes swept over Sabrina. Disheveled, trembling, drenched from the rain, and something inside him hardened. "Sabrina," he said, voice low but steady, "you need to leave. Right now." Sabrina shook her head violently. "No, you don't understand. I didn't come to cause trouble. I just needed something from my room. Something important. Please, let me talk to you alone." Henry stepped forward. "Sir, she forced entry. We should—" Noah raised a hand, stopping him. Sabrina seized the moment. "Noah, listen to me. If you divorce me like this, everything I've done will come out. You'll ruin me. And my reputation, my career, everything will be gone." "You ruined yourself," Noah replied. "You can't do this," she cried, voice cracking. "I gave up my life to be with you, and she, your daughter, she took everything from me." That sentence was the final nail. Noah exhaled slowly, a cold disappointment in his eyes. "If Emma threatens your stability, then you never belonged in her life, or mine." Sabrina's expression twisted, anger, panic, disbelief mixing into something unstable. She lunged forward suddenly, desperate, reaching for Noah's arm. Henry grabbed her instantly. "You can't take her from me," Sabrina screamed. "You can't choose her over me." Noah didn't flinch. "I've always chosen her," he said quietly. "I just didn't know I needed to protect her from you." And Sabrina finally understood. She hadn't lost a battle tonight. She had lost everything. Henry restrained Sabrina just long enough for Noah to step between her and the staircase leading to the bedrooms, where Emma slept, blissfully unaware. Sabrina struggled in his grip, hair damp, breath erratic, desperation spilling from her like cracking glass. "Noah, please," she rasped. "Just listen. You don't know everything." "No," Noah replied, voice low and controlled. "I know exactly enough." He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. A few taps, and the hallway filled with familiar audio. Sabrina's voice. Her insults, her commands, her mockery, her cold, clipped anger, her threat. "You embarrass me every time." Sabrina went still, completely still. Henry's jaw tightened as he recognized the cruelty. Another guard who'd arrived froze mid-step, eyes widening. "No," Sabrina whispered, shaking her head. "You can't. Noah, you can't play that." "It's already been backed up," he said. "Sent to my lawyers, and to Emma's therapist, and to the board if needed." Her face collapsed into pure disbelief. "The board? Noah, you'd destroy me publicly?" "You destroyed yourself privately," he answered. Sabrina felt the world tilt beneath her. But Noah wasn't finished. "There's more," he added quietly. "Tonight, after you left the hotel, the financial department sent me documents." The color drained from her completely. "Documents," Noah continued, "showing manipulated transactions. Transfers traced back to accounts you opened under aliases." Sabrina gasped, the sound raw and unprepared. I can explain." "You will," Noah said, "to the authorities." Her knees weakened. Henry steadied her only so she wouldn't fall. "Oh, you're going to have me arrested?" she choked out. "After everything? After the life I gave you? You would betray me like this?" "No," Noah said, eyes cold. "You betrayed us long before tonight." Sabrina's breaths turned shallow. She looked around the hallway. The home she once treated like a prize, now a place that no longer wanted her. Every door, every painting, every echo felt like judgment. "You can't do this," she whispered, voice trembling. "This isn't fair." Noah stepped closer, not threatening, just resolute. "Fair," he said, "is finally protecting my daughter." And Sabrina's expression shattered because she understood. Her lies weren't slipping out of control, they were being dismantled piece by unforgiving piece. For the first time in her carefully constructed life, Sabrina Hale had no mask left to wear. No charm, no polished smile, only the raw, frantic dread of a woman whose world was collapsing note by note, just like the recordings that now exposed her. Henry loosened his grip slightly as Noah gestured for space, but Sabrina didn't run. She sagged against the wall, chest rising in uneven breaths. Rainwater dripped from her hair onto the polished floor, each drop echoing the sharp finality of her downfall. "Noah," she tried again, voice barely more than a rasp. "I wasn't trying to hurt her. I just needed you to see me." Noah shook his head. "I saw you clearly tonight." "That child," she started. "No," he cut in firmly. "Do not blame Emma for your cruelty." Sabrina flinched as if the words slapped her. Her eyes darted around the hallway, toward the family portraits, the staircase, the distant glow of Emma's bedroom light. All the things she wanted to claim, all the things she believed she deserved, suddenly felt impossibly out of reach. "You were supposed to make my life better," she whispered. "You promised a future. You promised security." "And you were supposed to care for my daughter," Noah replied. "That was the only promise that mattered." Something inside Sabrina fractured, her expression twisted, not into remorse, but into a bitter truth she'd never said aloud. "You loved her more than me," she said. "Yes," Noah answered without hesitation. That honesty shattered the last of her composure. Her shoulders slumped, her breath shook, tears streaked silently down her face, though not for Emma, not for regret. She cried for herself, for the empire of illusion she'd spent years building, now ruined by a single hairclip. Finally, security stepped forward. "We'll escort her out, sir." Sabrina didn't fight this time. She stood shakily, dignity in tatters, and allowed them to guide her toward the door. But as she reached the threshold, she looked back at Noah with one last desperate warning. "This isn't over," she whispered. "You'll regret choosing her." Noah met her gaze steadily. "I'll never regret protecting my child." And with that, the door shut behind her. Quiet, final, irreversible. A chapter ended and the healing could finally begin. The house felt lighter the moment Sabrina's presence vanished, as if a storm cloud had finally lifted from the roof. Still, Noah knew the emotional damage inside its walls wouldn't fade overnight. He walked back upstairs with quiet, steady steps, pausing outside Emma's room. The soft glow of her nightlight spilled through the cracked door. He pushed it open gently. Emma lay curled beneath her blankets, hugging her stuffed rabbit. Her breathing was slow, peaceful, yet there was a subtle tightness in her expression, a lingering tension Noah recognized now that he was finally looking closely. She had been carrying fear for far too long. He sat at the edge of her bed. After a moment, Emma stirred and blinked up at him. "Daddy, did I do something wrong? Why was she so mad?" Noah's chest tightened. "You didn't do anything wrong, sweetheart. None of this was your fault." Emma's eyes filled with tears she'd been holding back for months. "I tried to be good. I tried really hard." "I know," Noah whispered. "You were so brave, and I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening sooner." Emma reached for his hand. "Will she come back?" "No," he answered gently but firmly. "She won't be living here anymore. You're safe now." The relief that washed over Emma was almost visible. Her small shoulders relaxed, her grip on his hand loosened, and she exhaled as if releasing every moment of fear, every whispered apology, every step she'd taken on eggshells. Can we go somewhere tomorrow?" she asked timidly. "Somewhere just us." A fragile smile touched Noah's lips. "Anywhere you want." She nodded sleepily, reassured in a way no grand gesture could ever accomplish. Downstairs, Noah met with Henry again. "From now on," he instructed, "the priority of this household is Emma. I want therapy arranged, stricter security, and absolutely no contact from Sabrina." Henry nodded. "Already in motion, sir." For the first time in months, Noah felt clarity, like stepping out of fog into sunlight. As he headed back upstairs, he paused at the doorway, watching his daughter sleep with calm finally softening her small features. Tomorrow, their life would begin again, one built on truth, safety, and a love strong enough to repair what had been broken. Morning sunlight broke gently through Emma's curtains, painting soft golden stripes across her room. She blinked awake, her mind slow to remember the night before. But when she saw Noah sitting beside her bed with a warm smile, a sense of safety washed over her like a blanket she had been missing for far too long. "Good morning, sweetheart," he said quietly. Emma sat up, rubbing her eyes. "You're still here." "I'm not going anywhere," he assured her. "Not anymore." Downstairs, the house bustled with a new kind of purpose. Lawyers, security staff, and trusted advisors moved with quiet efficiency. Noah had already made several decisions before breakfast. A restraining order filed, divorce papers initiated, and Sabrina's financial misconduct handed directly to federal investigators. By noon, news stations were broadcasting her downfall, embezzlement, fraud, and emotional abuse allegations. Everything she had tried to bury was rising to the surface. Justice, slow for so long, was finally swift. But Noah shielded Emma from all of it. Today wasn't about Sabrina. Today was about reclaiming the peace she had lost. After breakfast, Noah drove Emma to the coastal cliffs where he used to take her and her mother years ago. The ocean roared below them, vast and steady. Emma stepped out of the car and inhaled the salty air, her face brightening for the first time in months. "It's so pretty," she whispered. "It's yours," Noah said softly. "I bought the cottage up the hill, a fresh start for both of us." Emma turned to him, eyes wide. "Really?" He nodded. "A place where no one will ever make you feel small again." She threw her arms around him, hugging him tightly. "Thank you, Daddy." Noah closed his eyes, holding her just as tightly, overwhelmed by gratitude that he had been given a second chance to protect the person who mattered most. In the distance, seagulls soared across the horizon, free, unafraid, unshadowed. Emma smiled up at her father. "Can we come here every day?" "Every day," he promised. The wind carried their laughter, light and new, as father and daughter walked toward their future, one built not from fear, but from healing, justice, and a love stronger than anything that had tried to break them. And at long last, their story had the ending they both deserved. And just like that, our story comes to an end. But hey, my wonderful friends, you're still here, aren't you? If you've stayed with me until this moment, it means something in this journey touched your heart in a quiet, personal way. Maybe it reminded you of the softness we often hide, the strength we forget we have, or the simple truth that healing begins the moment we choose honesty over fear. Life isn't always kind. Sometimes, like little Emma, we learn to stay silent just to keep the peace. But as the Stoics remind us, the obstacle is the way. What hurts us can also guide us toward clarity, toward courage, toward a future built on truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And Emma's story shows exactly that. Healing starts when we reclaim our inner voice, when we recognize our worth, and when we allow ourselves to be loved the right way. So if this story made you feel something, even the smallest spark, let it be a reminder. You deserve safety. You deserve kindness. You deserve a life where love doesn't require fear. If this touched you, please like, share, and subscribe so we can continue telling stories that heal, inspire, and remind us that compassion still exists in this world. Thank you for being here. You matter more than you know.